I've been living here for a long time, but this does not mean that I know where I want to go just yet. Are you from Tokyo? Let's see. I doubt you would recognize the Tokyo I used to know. Yes, indeed, even if I doubt you would recognize the Tokyo I used to know. Do you live in the outskirts? I tend to roam the entire island. Lately I've returned to explore the city. Parks and gardens are my favorite spots. I see. I've become obsessed with a few species of plants. I spend hours looking at them, their colors, the shape of their leaves, the geometry of their branches. Oh, and why do you like these plants so much? Some plants are... let's see. Some plants are almost immortal, I feel connected to them. Some plants are almost immortal, I feel connected to them. Oh, hello, which kind of a big eyeball. Why is that? When you don't have to worry about how much time you have left, everything slows down. I perceive time differently from you. I'm guessing a tree would too. At a certain point, I decided millenary trees could be the answer to my questions. I went and visited one of them in Tsurugaoka Hachimangu. Did you find the answers you were looking for? Not exactly. I felt less lonely, though. I felt a connection, but I'm still here. What kind of connection? You see, these plants have lived through history. In a way, I did the same. They've seen a lot, haven't they? They have. For this reason, I look at them with different eyes. I deeply admire the resilience certain plants manifest. No matter what happens to them, they resist. What type of plants can do that? Well, ginkgo trees. Some of them survive the most lethal weapon man has ever created. They are called hibakujumoku. Scientists were certain nothing could grow again in that area. Ginkgos proved them wrong. You seem to know a lot about ginkgos. Not nearly as much as I'd like. What do you mean? I know their scientific name is Ginkgo biloba, and that biloba describes the shape of the leaves. I know that the fleshy outer coat of their seeds has a strong smell. I know their bark has a corky texture. I know the color of their leaves in every season of the year. And what I don't know is where to find my ginkgo seeds. Did you have some? I did. What happened to them? It's a long story. So? I don't want to impose. Listen, my car's at your disposal for as long as the night lasts. You're very kind. My story begins like this. I was in the garden, holding some seeds in my hands. That's the last shard of my past I recall clearly. It's funny how I remember being alive thanks to the mundanity of my last actions. Just another Saturday in a vast collection of Saturdays. Late autumn is the right season to plant your ginkgo seeds, not September, so I had to put them away, you see, store them in a dark place. And then the earth beneath my feet started trembling, fissures ripped the ground, everything crumbled. All of a sudden something hit me, hard, on the back of my head. Huh? What happened next? I fell on my knees, facing the back of my garden. The seeds rolled away, an aftershock pushed me to the ground. I died shielding the seeds with my body. My very last thought was dedicated to them. Do you think they survived? I really hope so. It would mean everything to me. Given the magnitude of the events you've described to me tonight, I really don't know what to say. I know. You don't have to say anything. I mean, I don't want to sound tragic. I know what you're about to say. Please stop. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to upset you, but you see, I meant please stop the car. Huh? Sure, here you go. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Well. Greetings, thank you for stopping. Hello, sir. Let me ask you something first. Before you ask me where I want to go, let me ask you something first. Oh, true. Sure. Good. Do you like plants? I really do, sir, and I'd love to talk about them, but this is a silent taxi. Oh, I see. Can you please pull over? Of course, sir. I don't do silent taxis. That's fine, sir. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just out here, just some mysterious being trying to have a deep, soulful conversation. How rude. Hello. Hello, sir. Welcome on board. Thank you. Where do you want to go, sir? Oh, right. Just drive, please. Rough night, sir? One of the many, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. My nights are endless. Do you suffer from insomnia, sir? Why do you ask? Well, it's the middle of the night and it looks like you have no clear destination in mind. Many insomniac passengers tend to soothe their minds by traveling at this hour. I see. As if being transported from one place to another could facilitate their flow of thoughts or alleviate their pain. Travel to unravel, as they say. Precisely. Does it work? As far as I can tell, sometimes it does. A couple of times I had to wake them up, and I felt terrible about it. How could I wake up a person that suffers from insomnia? Anyway, since it's not your case, if you don't mind me asking, what brings you to my taxi so late at night? It's part of my routine. I love taxis, you see. Why is that? The politeness of the drivers. Oh! It doesn't matter how weird and disjointed my story may sound, I've never felt judged on a taxi. Not a single time. That's part of our duty, sir. Especially during the night. I've gathered so many stories and confessions, I could write a book about them. So it's not just me, you say? No, sir, even if I must admit your story is particularly intriguing. What about the other stories you've listened to? It really depends. Sometimes people just need an audience or to be reassured, you know? Other times they just want attention and maybe to chat a bit. It takes the pressure off, I guess. Indeed it does. What's your story, sir? Are you curious? I am! Good. I need your curiosity to solve my mystery. My story begins like this. I was in the garden, holding some seeds in my hands. So far, so good. It's funny how I remember being alive thanks to the mundanity of my last actions. That's pretty normal, I guess. It was just another Saturday in a vast collection of Saturdays. And what about the seeds? Right, the seeds. You see, late autumn is the right season to plant your ginkgo seeds. September is not the right month. I had to put them away, store them in a dark place. So those were ginkgo seeds. Please go on. And then the earth beneath my feet started trembling. Fissures ripped the ground. Everything crumbled. All of a sudden something hit me hard on the back of my head. Huh, that's terrible! I fell on my knees, facing the back of my garden. An aftershock pushed me to the ground. And the seeds? They rolled away. I dedicated my very last thought to them. That's for sure. I died shielding them with my body. Well, that's interesting. Why do you find it interesting? Why would you ever find it interesting? Because from what you just told me, it looks like the protagonists of your story have switched roles. You were the one holding the seeds, and now you are the one held in this limbo by the seeds. You died protecting them. I guess you have to find out what happened next. You were right. That's the interesting bit. You should focus on understanding the role of the seeds in all this, I think. Very well then, I must focus on the seeds. At least that's my advice. It sounds reasonable to me. Now I need to think. Alone. Do you want me to pull over? Yes, please. You've been very helpful tonight. Thank you. I'm always happy to help, sir. Goodbye. Goodbye. Hello, sir. Is this a silent taxi? No, sir. Good. Where shall I drive you? I'm not sure yet. I've been living here for a long time, but this does not mean that I know where I want to go just yet. Are you from Tokyo? Yes, I am in a way. I come from a lost version of Tokyo. How do you mean lost? Literally, the city in which I was born is not on a map any longer. That version of Tokyo disappeared into a void. There are witnesses that can confirm this. I see. What kind of witnesses? Witnesses that have seen and experienced the devastation that took place. You mean survivors like you? Maybe, but they belong in a museum. I don't. Do you mean old things? They're no longer just things. They've been reshaped by history. Now they're artifacts. They carry a story. Let's see. The clocks that stopped working on that day. Artifacts are just a pair of eyeglasses, or one witness is still alive, actually. Let's see. You can still read the time when the clocks that stopped working on that day. Right? Like, I wonder if we can find our Ginkgo seeds. What time was it? 11:58 a.m., but most clocks stopped a bit later. Time stood still as nature raged all at once, collapsing the pillars of the sky and snapping the axis of the earth. It lasted 2 days and 3 nights. After that, the only Tokyo that survived is the one engraved in our collective memory. Are you talking about the Great Kanto earthquake? I had a feeling that's what this was about. It was almost noon. I am, as I was saying. It was almost noon. People were preparing lunch. As the earthquake struck, the stoves were on. The shockwaves were so powerful that the water pipes burst. Fires spread through the city, and there was no water to extinguish them. I see. It's a tragic story. How do you cope with such memories? I've dedicated myself to studying plants. I've become obsessed with a few species of plants. I spend hours looking at them. Their colors, the shapes of their leaves, the geometry of their branches. Oh, and why do you like these plants so much? Criminy. Well, we already kind of touched on these two. I like walking around the gardens. Nature is the only thing that keeps changing while remaining exactly identical with itself. I find comfort in looking at the same tree season after season. You'll always be able to predict the shape and color of the leaves, the direction of the branches, the texture of the bark. Nothing changes, you say. What else do you think about the gardens? Colors. Trees such as Ginkgo, Katsura, larch, and poplar redefine the very concept of yellow every autumn. I've never seen anything more yellow than that. It is so pigmented they could just dye the sky. Just imagine the sunlight coming through the dense foliage of these trees. Beautiful. More than that, it's a spectacle I would never grow tired of. Once I met a man. He wasn't from here, so we couldn't talk. His name was Palomar. Stunned by the sharp and luminous yellow of the ginkgo leaves, he stared at the gentle dance they make as they fall from the highest branches. I didn't want to disturb him, so we stood together in silence as if hypnotized by the slow tempo of the leaves' descent. Years later, the very same ginkgo leaves finally stopped their free fall. Thanks to him, they landed in a world that exists only in words. If you want to find them, you'll have to wait for a winter's night, but this is another story. Looking forward to it. Maybe another time. It's getting late now. Thank you for the ride. You're welcome, sir. Shall I stop here? Yes, please. Here you go. Thank you. Goodbye. Bye. So I wonder if there's like an actual route out of all this. Is this the... just says Nihon Taxi, so I'm not sure if this is the silent cab or not. Greetings, thank you for stopping. Hello, sir. Okay. Let's try to be silent in the silent taxi. Well, I think I'm done listening to my own thoughts. Shall I pull over, sir? Yes, please. Goodbye. Goodbye. Yeah, like there was a I wanted really hard to keep myself to like one game per creator, because otherwise like I was veering very dangerous into like just doing a retrospective of one of my like the creators I'm already really a big fan of. And like I forgot how just wide-ranging her stuff is, and so I would like be like, oh, this game sounds interesting. And it's like, who did this game? Oh, that's right. Hello. Hello, sir. Welcome on board. Thank you. Where do you want to go, sir? Oh, right. I could give you an address, but... Thank you, that's all I need. But you wouldn't know where to find it. Huh? Sir, are you doubting my knowledge? I think I know this city well enough. Not at all, quite the contrary. I'm relying on you completely tonight. It's just that you see, time has a bizarre way of affecting the structure of a city. That's for sure. Things move around, new buildings appear, old buildings disappear. One thing is knowing how to find an address, another thing is knowing your city inside out. That's just one of the many reasons why I rely on taxi drivers to find my path. You know how to look into every nook and cranny. If you don't mind me asking, sir, why do you like taxi drivers so much? I still remember the first 6 taxis. Oh, you mean the new hybrid models? No, I mean the first 6 taxis that ever had the privilege of riding the streets of Tokyo. Ippon Jokyaku Ryokaku Jidosha. That's how we called them back in the days. Motor vehicle for general passengers and travelers. However, as you can imagine, it was too long, too complex. So shortly after, we started calling them just taxi. Excuse me, what year are we talking about? Well, that's easy. It was 1912. 1912, of course. At the time, I didn't have any need for a taxi, so I never had the pleasure of riding one of those 6. I remember them clearly, though, as newspapers covered the event thoroughly. It was late July. I think my first taxi ride can be dated back to 1921. An early adopter, we may say. Then everything changed. Gosh, yeah, that would be a very emotional stream to just power through that whole collection. Well, it surely did. We were talking about a century ago. 11 years later, the earthquake hit. 11 years later, 1923? Are we talking about that earthquake? Indeed we are. That's my turning point. Nowadays, I can only make sense of my erratic wanderings if I'm riding a taxi, at night. Only at night? Why is that? There's almost no traffic at night. Not that I'm in a rush or anything. The city is simply more peaceful. As a taxi driver, I can tell you that for sure. The traffic is much better at night. It's lighter. Also, people would want to be driven all the way home, not just to a nearby destination. I guess it means more money for you? It does, but it's not just that. I love to exchange stories with my night passengers. They're always willing to share some. Like me. Exactly. Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge with me and driving me around. That's okay. Shall I pull over, sir? Yes, please. Here you go. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye. So... was it 4 taxis before we hit the loop, or 3? I mean, right? I wouldn't charge a yokai to use my cab if I was a cab driver. Hello. Hello, sir. Is this a silent taxi? No, sir. Good. Where shall I drive you? I'm not sure yet. I've been living here for a long time, but this does not mean that I know where I want to go just yet. Are you from Tokyo? Tokyo was shattered a long time ago. Shattered? It crumbled to pieces. It was gone in a blink. How did you survive? I didn't. I see. I died with and within my city. Huh? Mighty blue sky welcomed our morning. It was the perfect weather for a Saturday. When was it? It was the 1st of September, 1923. That's the day I died, together with thousands of other people. I wasn't alone by then. I am now. How is this even possible? It must have something to do with the last moments before I died. I've spent decades trying to understand how to interpret those last memories. In the end, I think the seeds I was holding in my hands are the key. What kind of seeds? They were ginkgo seeds. Oh, do you like ginkgo trees? They are fascinating plants. They're fossils of an ancient version of a ginkgo leaf that date back 270 million years. This means that ginkgo trees were already here when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Fascinating. They are tall, strong, majestic trees, I'd say. At the same time, they possess an inner delicacy, and there is nothing more delightful than their little fan-shaped leaves, especially when they turn from green to yellow. Never thought about that. They are indeed very tall trees. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you for listening to me. That's all for tonight. I don't want to bother you with my stories any longer. Can you please pull over? It's no bother at all. Here you go. Goodbye. Bye. So, I think if this ends up being the same cab as the first one, because I'm guessing that we have to somehow separate ourselves from this, either from this memory of the ginkgo seeds, it seems. But how we would go about doing that. Okay. Hey Tank, how's it going? Greetings, thank you for stopping. Hello, sir. Oh, you're right, yeah, because this is the silent cab. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so that's Bird of Passage. I don't know if it has like an actual ending state. But yeah. It's Bird of Passage by, was it Backyard something? Space Backyard. So if you want to check out more story paths, give that a look-see.